Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with the Spain News Update. And elections were held yesterday in the autonomous community of Castilla y León, and there were a few victors, but a lot of losers. But more about that in just a moment. Firstly, a big thanks to all of the people that left comments on the last video. Lots of comments, lots of debate happening there as usual. Thanks to people that supported the channel through a donation or by buying me a beer or a coffee. Many thanks for that. Thanks to people that bought merchandise, and a big thanks to my patrons on Patreon for your ongoing support. Now, let's get into the news. And as I said, elections held yesterday in Castilla y León, and there were some winners, but a lot of losers. As we can see here, Manueco wins the Castilla y León elections with a Pyrrhic victory, and the Partido Popular is left in the hands of Vox. The PP has won the elections in Castile and Leon, but it will not be able to govern with its own forces alone. A pact with Vox, the big winner of the elections, is necessary either by forming an executive coalition or by signing a legislative pact. Thus, the largest community in terms of size will shift towards a harder right-wing party without the liberal tinge of Ciudadanos, a party that has come within a whisker of disappearing. The Popular Party has achieved victory, but far from the overwhelming result to which it aspired, emulating the overwhelming triumph of Isabel Díaz Ayuso in Madrid. With 31.51% of the votes, they will occupy 31 seats, 10 short of an absolute majority. 371,600 Castilians from Castile and Leon have chosen their ballot, 60,000 less than in the last elections. So the Partido Popular, the most voted party in those elections, but as we saw, the biggest winner was the right-wing party Vox. And basically the Partido Popular won't be able to form a government unless they are in a coalition with that party. Now let's have a look at some graphics on the elections, and we can see that there was a 63.44% participation in the elections. The Partido Popular came out on top with 31 seats in the parliament, the PSOE party second with 28, but as we can see there, Vox with 13 seats necessary for a majority, and Vox was able to get 12 more seats than in the last elections held in 2019. And the big loser, as we can see there, the Citizens Party, which has been decimated in these elections and are going to only have one seat in the parliament. So some interesting times ahead in that autonomous community, with the Partido Popular needing Vox to form government. And that is something I believe that the Partido Popular did not want to happen. So Vox on the way up and the rest of the minority parties on the way down. Now thousands of people took to Spanish streets yesterday, protesting about possible changes to the controversial gag law. And as we can see here, demonstrations in 20 cities against the insufficient reform of the gag law. More than 100 groups have demonstrated this Sunday in 25 points around Spain against the reform of the law on citizen security, known as the gag law, whose approach they consider insufficient and a make-up, so they demand the total repeal and reverse everything detrimental to human rights. They call it a democracy, and it is not. It is a dictatorship. And freedom of expression and demonstration were some of the slogans chanted by the demonstrators who made their way to the Puerta del Sol from Atocha, where the protest began in Madrid. So protesters not happy about changes to that gag law because they say that they are insufficient and they want the law to go away completely. So will the voices of the protesters be heard by the government? Time will tell. And the gag law has been a very controversial law in this country because basically it limits free speech. Now, if you're living here in Spain, you probably realize that it hasn't been raining a lot this winter and we're in the middle of a serious drought. And as we can see here, climate change-induced extreme winter drought is devastating crops in Spain and Portugal. Roofs peeking out of the water have become common every summer in the Lindoso Reservoir in northwestern Spain. In parched years, parts would appear of the old village of Aceredo, submerged 3 decades ago when a hydropower dam flooded the valley. But never before has the skeleton of the village emerged in its entirety in the middle of the usually wet winter season. While the arid zones of the Iberian Peninsula have historically experienced periods of drought, experts say climate change has exacerbated the problem. This year, amid record levels of low or no rainfall at all, farmers in both Portugal and Spain who are growing produce for all of Europe are worried that their crops for this season will be ruined. In the last 3 months of 2021, Spain recorded just 35% of the average rainfall it had seen during the same period from 1981 to 2010, but there has been almost no rain since then. So a very dry winter period indeed for many parts of the country currently. And as we saw in the article, according to experts, climate change is again to blame. Now, with Spain's COVID-19 statistics improving rapidly, the country is lifting most of its coronavirus restrictions this week. The drop in the number of coronavirus infections in recent weeks has led several autonomous communities to revoke the measures they were maintaining in their territories to combat the sixth wave. Murcia is the only region that maintains capacity limitations of 75% and limits meetings to 10 people indoors. Aragon, Galicia, La Rioja, Murcia and Valencia continue to require this vaccination passport, some only for access to health centres. Asturias, the Balearic Islands, Cantabria, Castilla y León, Castilla-La Mancha, Catalonia, Extremadura and Madrid have no mandatory restrictions. Now let's have a look at a summary of the health situation in Spain, and we can see the accumulated incidence rate now down to 1,461. Hospital pressure continues high at 10.3%, and ICU pressure is also high at 16.9%. However, the most disturbing piece of data here is that there were 389 COVID-related deaths reported by the government last Friday. Now, as we know, the Spanish government has backflipped and are now allowing unvaccinated British children to enter the country on holiday. And as we can see here, Spain allows unvaccinated PCR-negative British children to enter from today. The Interior Ministry published this order in the official State Gazette last Friday after many British families cancelled their planned trips to Spain this month for a week's school holidays in the UK because the full vaccination schedule was required for those aged 12 and over. The Canary Islands are a popular destination for British families during the February school break, which starts next week, and the checks complicated their travel plans because not all children have both doses of the vaccine. So, there we go. Interesting to see that the government changed their mind on unvaccinated teenagers from the UK, but obviously pressure from hoteliers in places like the Canary Islands help change the government's mind. So we'll see next week whether this change does help or not the tourist industry in this country. Now let's have a look at some of the comments from previous videos. One here from Bumblebee: what happened to the Spanish developed vaccine? Here, Bumblebee, thanks for the comment and good question, considering the fact that we have been waiting for this vaccine for a long time now. The government said last year that it was going to be ready before the end of 2021, but that wasn't the case. Apparently they're in the third phase of clinical trials at the moment, and if all goes well in those trials, it should be ready soon. Or at least that's what the government says, but I wouldn't believe them though. One here from Ian: many families have already cancelled their holidays to Spain, so it's too late for the half term. More money the Spanish economy has lost. Ian, thanks for the comment, and you're right. I imagine that a lot of families have decided to make holiday plans in other places, considering that Spain was very late changing this rule. As we saw a minute ago, it comes into effect today, but it's probably too late for a lot of families. But no surprises there, because I've seen turtles react quicker than the current government. And how many millions will have been lost? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. One here from Noel: hello Stu, hi from Arizona, USA. Thank you for all the good information you put out. Nice of you to share. Question for you: I'll be retiring this coming October, and my life dream has been to live in Spain. I visited a lot while in the military. Nowadays, which areas in Spain would you recommend near beaches and mild weather to start looking for properties? Also, I have 2 kids, 12 and 8. What's the average cost of international schools, since they don't speak Spanish yet? Thank you in advance. Noel. Yeah, Noel, thanks for the comment, and good to see that you are looking to retire here in Spain. I'll answer your second question first about international schools, and basically the prices range anywhere from 500 euros up. A friend of mine's daughter goes to the French international school here in Madrid, and I think he pays around 750 euros a month. But again, that's here in Madrid, and prices could vary in other parts of the country. So if anybody has better information than me, please let us know in the comment section below on how much an international school costs here in Spain. And if you're looking for a place with mild weather close to beaches here in Spain, start looking at places on the Mediterranean, but be warned because summer months there can be hot. You'll get fantastic weather throughout the school year, but when those summer holidays come around, you might have to go on holiday somewhere else. Unless, that is, you like hot, sticky weather a couple of months of the year. One here from Jose Antonio: nobody cares about López Obrador's words, even in Mexico. One of his grandmothers was from Santander, and the other one from a town in Asturias. Yeah, Jose Antonio, thanks for the comment, and you're right. I don't think too many people here in Spain are worried about what the Mexican president said last week, except people that have business interests in that country, because as we know, and as we saw previously with the US President Donald Trump, they can hurt businesses, especially when they decide to slap tariffs on goods produced in this country and exported to countries like Mexico, for example, oil, ham and cheese, to name 3. So hopefully Mr. Lopez Obrador's words are nothing more than hot air for people with business interests in Mexico. One here from Janet: my son-in-law and his mother have both voted for Podemos in Andalusia in the past, but my son-in-law is now very disillusioned with Podemos. So not everyone is wedded to a particular party. Yeah, Janet, thanks for the comment, and of course not everybody is wedded to a particular political party here in Spain, but a lot of people are. And as we saw in the election results in the Castilla y León elections yesterday, the 2 most voted parties there were the PP party and the PSOE party, the traditional parties here in Spain. And some of the minority parties, given the results in those elections, for example Podemos and the Citizens Party, are on the verge of extinction, in my opinion. And what's the reason? Well, the expression wishy-washy comes to mind. And finally, one here from Chrissy: in Loja, Repsol was €1.62 on Tuesday. Local garage, €1.52. Food prices have gone up too. Yeah, Chrissy, thanks for the comment, and thanks to adding to the debate about rising costs in Spain at the moment, not only on fuel, but as you mentioned, on food as well. And a few other people have added comments in recent days about how much they are paying for fuel here in Spain at the moment. So fuel's up, food prices are up, everything seems to be up at the moment, and I don't know when they're going to start to come down. On that note, I'll wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. Debate the video out as you normally do. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.